In this section, I will be explaining about the CAN bus protocol. So CAN protocol, it was developed by Robert Bosch for automobile electronics. So it is basically a serial bus protocol for interconnecting the microcontroller based devices of a distributed control network. So basically it was being employed in automobile industry. Still CAN protocol find its greatest application in case of automobile industry itself. So before the CAN protocol to interconnect various devices in the automobile, so we need to have very complicated pattern. That is, each of them need to communicate with different protocol. So after the evolution of CAN protocol, you can see in the figure that the different systems, they was interconnected with the help of the serial CAN bus and with the help of the serial protocol. It can easily communicate, and you can see that those critical parts, they require a high speed CAN bus, and those that much non-critical, they require only a low speed CAN bus. So depending upon the requirements, power, etc., you can have a high speed CAN bus and the low speed CAN bus being demarcated. So the high speed CAN, it has got a data rate of 1 Mbps, and low speed CAN, it has got a data rate of 125 kbps. So speaking of an automobile, there are so much of embedded controllers, microcontrollers, which is distributed inside a car. And these are some of the examples, and this was a state before the evolution of CAN, and now since we have the standard CAN protocol, we can have high speed and low speed serial CAN buses. CAN bus usually interconnects to a CAN controller between the line and the host at the node. So you can see that this is a serial CAN bus which is interconnecting the several processor, and there will be a CAN controller. Each and every CAN nodes, they contain the host CAN controller as well as the CAN transceiver. That is, what do you mean by host? Host means the actual microcontroller or even microprocessor, etc., which is actually running the processor, which is actually running all the core application, and also the host decide when it wants to send the message, what message it wants to send, or interpretation of the message it is receiving from the peripherals. All that is decided by the host. And what is the function of the CAN controller? It is going to communicate all the functions. That is, controlling of all the communication function is done by the CAN controller. And also if any transmission or reception of the CAN messages occur, the CAN controller, it has to trigger the interrupt. So this is a function of CAN controller. So basically host, we can say it as a microcontroller or microprocessor, and the CAN controller, it is going to do all the communication functions which is being prescribed by the CAN protocol, and whenever it receives a message, it is going to trigger the interrupt. And CAN transceiver, it is responsible for the transmission or reception of data in the CAN bus. So these much components will be always present in all the CAN nodes. And as you can see in the figure, line is usually interconnecting to the CAN controller between the line and host at the node. So this is a serial bus controller for CAN in a microcontroller. And these are the features of CAN. That is, it is a serial bus, and it supports the several interconnections, that is communication between the several microcontrollers, 8-bit and 16-bit microcontrollers, and we can employ multi-master, multi-slave configuration. But it is a half duplex protocol, and it is a message-based protocol. At a time only one communication can take place in either way. And another important point to be noted here is that it is a message-based protocol. What do you mean by message-based protocol? That is, usually in all the frames which we have studied. Okay, for example, in the previous section we have studied about I2C, etc. So in all those format, we had the address field in the format. Okay, so all the peripheral devices, they used to be identified with several address. But there is no addressing system in case of CAN protocol. It is identified with the help of messages. Okay, so this is a message based protocol and the broadcasting message is enabled. That is, whatever message a node is sending, it is being broadcast on the bus and it is not address based. So that is a very important property, message based protocol, and also it has got high level of error handling. The maximum baud rate is 1 megabit, simple hardware, and number of nodes not limited by protocol. Why is it so? Because in the address field usually we specify how many addresses required. So here you can have easy nodes, that is you can easily connect or disconnect node. That is also written as another property. Because no node identification, it is no nodes are identified in the form of address. Therefore we can easily remove or add any nodes and the number of nodes are not limited. Another important property is it follows differential signaling in CAN bus. We will see what is meant by differential signaling. So as you can see, this is a figure of differential signaling. Here you are having two nodes, CAN1 port and CAN2 port. And you can see the two lines, there is a CAN high and CAN low, and it is having a termination resistance of 120 ohm. So two signal wires can be seen. And this is called as differential signaling, in which the effective signal on the bus, it will be the difference of voltages in these two wires with respect to ground. So what is the effective signal on the bus? It will be the difference of this voltage on these two lines. And if same voltage occurs, what will happen? It will be having greater immunity to noise. When a common noise signal appears, they are subtracted off while taking the difference between the two bus signal voltages. This makes the CAN bus more resistant or immune to noise voltages. So differential signaling will be always followed in the case of CAN bus. And speaking of the CAN frames, the CAN protocol, basically we can have a different type of frame, that is data frame, remote frame, error frame, overload frame. Now here we will be seeing only about the data frame of CAN bus. Okay, the data frame, as we all know, it is mainly used for carrying of the data along with its identifier, CRC, CHIC, etc. And the remote frame, that is, it is used for requesting a data frame transmission with a certain identifier nodes. That is, it is requesting a transmission in the case of remote frame. An error frame, whenever error is detected, error frame is transmitted. Overload frame, it is for providing the extra delay between the data and remote frame. That is, if delay is required, then we send overload frame. Now here we are seeing only the data frame of CAN bus. So we will be having a start of frame. That is, the start of frame always starts with the bit 0, which is going to indicate the start of frame. Okay, so it always starts with the dominant bit, say 0. Then we are having a 11-bit identifier and a RTR, that is a remote transmission request. Okay, so together both of them, this identifier, etc., is going to define about arbitration. So we can see the arbitration part in the subsequent section. So by using this section, that is by using the help of this identifier, we will be specifying what message we have to send. For that we use this 11-bit identifier, and based upon these messages sent by this 11-bit identifier, it will decide which node should be given the priority. So simultaneously, if many nodes are trying to transmit, with the help of this identifier field only, we will be having the arbitration over the bus. The next one is remote transmission request. So by using this bit, a node can tell another node to transmit instead of listening. So that is why this RTR is used. Then we are having control field and data field. Data field, we know it is used for sending the data. Then control bit is going to indicate how many bytes it is going to follow, how many bytes of data is going to follow in the data field. Then CRC, it is for error detection. Then the acknowledgement field, that is from the receiver, is used by the transmitter to consider it as an acknowledgement if valid frame is received. And finally we are having the end of frame, that is also terminated here in this case by zeros, indicating the end of the frame. Okay, so these are the frame format in the case of a CAN bus. So here only the data frame is being indicated. So there's a start of frame that is represented by 0 and 11-bit identifier, RTR, 6-bit control, data, CRC, 2-bit acknowledgement, and finally end of the frame. And in the case of data message frame, the end of the frame will be terminated by 7 bits as zeros, indicating that it is the end of the frame. So 7 bits will be allowed in the case of end of frame. So the priority depend upon the arbitration field of the frame. That is, you have seen in the frame format there is a 11-bit identifier. So based upon this message, we will be deciding upon the arbitration of the bus. The priority will be given, and the designer can prioritize a message at the time of design itself. So it is a message based protocol. You will further understand when we see the example of arbitration. So unlike the I2C protocol in CAN, none of the nodes they are going to have the address. So first case we consider only one node want to send the message. So depending upon the content, the node can accept or ignore, and depending upon the priority of the message, it will do an acceptance test using the identifier of every message, and if it is relevant it will accept, otherwise the message will be getting ignored. Okay, so this is a simple case, only one node is sending. But what if many nodes want to send a message? Then there will be a bus arbitration scheme of CAN protocol. So based upon some protocol, it has to decide to which node it should give the access. The bus should be given access. So before going to the bus arbitration scheme of CAN protocol, let us understand about the electrical CARA. So speaking of the voltage graph, we know that there are basically two types of line, that is CAN high, CAN low, etc. in the case of CAN protocol. Now here you have to understand one important thing is that the logic 1 means a recessive or an idle state. The idle state of the bus will be always recessive. So here recessive is indicated by logic 1, and the dominant in case of CAN it is indicated by a logic 0. So recessive means logic 1 and dominant means logic 0. So whenever the bus is in idle state, it means that it is recessive or its logic state is 1. So that electrical CARA we have to remember and understand about these terminologies, that is recessive and dominant. And we have to understand that of the two wires, that is CAN high and CAN low wires, if both of them we are going to apply with the voltage as such of say 2.5 volt, what will happen? The actual difference of the voltage of the bus, it will be 0 volt. Okay, so a 0 volt on the CAN bus, it will be read by the CAN transceiver as a recessive state, or it will be in the logic 1. So when both are at 2.5 volt, it is read by the CAN transceiver as a logic 1 state. Okay, that is a recessive state. So that is always the ideal state of the bus. Now when CAN high, it is pulled up to 3.5 volt, and when CAN low, it is being pulled to 1.5 volt. Then the difference will be 2 volt, which will be read as a dominant state, or that will be logic 0. Okay, so then only if one is pulled at 3.5 and CAN low pulled at 1.5, difference we know it is 2 volt. So now the logic state, it will be in the dominant state. So dominant state means logic 0. So this is a CARA, the voltage graph by which we can represent the working of the CAN protocol. So always remember the ideal state of the bus is recessive. And another thing to remember importantly is that when the bus state meets the dominant or logic 0 by a node, that is whenever a node is meeting the dominant state, that is a logic 0, it is electrically impossible to drive the state to recessive by any other node. That is, it cannot be driven to recessive. Okay, so this is also an important property. So here recessive means that we are having a logic 1. So basically we can consider a wired AND logic. That is how the CAN bus logic is. So understand the dominant state, it overrides the recessive state. That is, you can see the state of the CAN bus in all these cases, which is indicated by the blue color. the dominant state overrides the recessive state, that is bus state, it is going to remain in the dominant. Dominant means logic 0. When different CAN nodes are transmitting different levels. So here you can say different CAN nodes are transmitting different levels. Whatever, if a 1 is also occurring here, the CAN bus status is 0. Okay, that is the bus is remaining dominant. Even when different nodes are sending both the levels simultaneously, and the CAN bus, the recessive state, that is a one state occur only if all the nodes are sending the recessive state. So this is nothing but basically a AND logic. So this is an example of how the arbitration is going to take place using the CAN protocol. Suppose if say several nodes, okay, they want to send together. They want to send their data together. So with the help of this procedure only, we will decide, okay, which node can be given access to the bus. So this is an example, say CAN node, there are 3 nodes with this message identifier, its hex identifiers and its binary representation of the 11 bits are also given. We know that by using the arbitration field in the frame format, 11 bits are specified. So here also we are having 11 bits. So using these 11 bits, we are going to specify our message identifiers. So we can see what happens. So starting here from the 11th, 10th, 9th bit and so on, we are moving. So in the first case we can observe that all are having say 1. Okay. So there is no problem. That is all the bits, that is first 2, you can observe that all bits, they are in the recessive state. That is a logic 1 is being transmitted. So in that case there is no problem. So first 2 all the bits are recessive, and at next, that is in the 9th bit point, node 1, okay, it is going to send a recessive bit, but other 2 nodes, that is they are having 0. So other 2 is having the dominant bus state. So what will happen? The bus is going to remain dominant. Okay. So at this point we can say that the node 1, it has lost its arbitration. So at the first 2 point you can see all the node and the CAN bus is having similar. But at the next point you can see that since the node 1 it is having a 1 and the node 2 and 3 it is having 0. The node 1 at this point it is losing its arbitration. So now node 2 and node 3 continues to send the bits. So again what happened if you are observing say the next bit of these CAN nodes. Again at the 7th bit you can observe that the node 2 is sending a dominant bit and node 3 is sending a recessive bit. So at this point we can say that the node 3 is losing the arbitration and node 2 in the is winning in the arbitration, and so it is going to hold the bus until complete message is being transferred. So this is an example of how different nodes are going to get the CAN bus. So at first 2 point if you are observing all are having 1 1. Okay. So the CAN bus, the state is also as such, it is going to remain in the recessive mode, and in the next case the node 1 is going to lose the arbitration, and coming to the next bit again only node 2 and node 3 will be having the access, and coming to again another bit, what happens here, the node 3 will be losing the arbitration and the node 2 will be winning the arbitration, and it will continue to use the bus until all its bytes have been sent. Then only the other nodes can now use the CAN bus. Okay. So these are the important points to remember. So in the case of CAN bus, the most importantly remember this property that the logic 1 is a recessive state and logic 0 is a dominant state, and whenever the bus state has met a dominant or logic 0, it is impossible to drive the state to recessive by any other node. That is always the dominant is here. So we can say in the wired and logic also the dominant state only overrides the recessive state. So this is basically a wired and logic, and this is an example of how 3 different nodes is winning the arbitration. So depending upon these 11-bit message identifiers, we are getting the method for the arbitration in CAN protocol. And these are some of the drawbacks of the CAN protocol. That is, it supports a data rate of only 1 Mbps. And the data frame is carrying only 8 bytes. And speaking of the protocol overhead, that is the information which must be sent along with the data through the network. So this type of information, it will be stored at the start of the packet called as a header. Okay, so all these are some of the drawbacks. So in this section, we have basically discussed about the features of CAN protocol, which is very much used in the case of automobile industry.